Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're going to be playing kind of a different take on Goblins in Historic. This is a Deathwhirler deck, so kind of an older deck that's got a bunch of new tools in Historic, kind of paired up in a Goblin tribal deck. But basically, Call of the Deathwhirlers lets you return 2 creatures from your graveyard with 3 CMC less, or combined 3 CMC. You get to put a Death Touch trigger or counter and a Menace counter on them. So what you do is if you put the Death Touch on something like Chainwhirler, deals 1 damage to each creature, Death Touch triggers, so it's a one-sided board wipe for 3 mana. You can also give Death Touch to like Fanatical Firebrand to have targeted 1 point of damage. You have Munitions Expert as another way to deal damage as well. With the Death Touch, we have Palashik Mons. So this is same idea. Whenever it or another goblin you control dies, you deal 1 damage to any target, and it has the ability to sacrifice a goblin to make goblins. So the list that I found on tap, this has got about a 60% win rate. They're playing 3 of these, 1 extra land. I cut down a land because it was a 25. We're not too heavy on the curve, plus we have Accelerants like in Skirk. Our curve's a little bit lower than a traditional Goblins list. 24 should be enough lands. And I'm playing a couple Sling Gang Lieutenants. It's another sack outlet, so it works better with Palashik. It creates goblins when it enters, and then it also lets us sack goblins to drain. So we could trigger the Palashik as well. And this is life loss versus damage. So if we're playing against something like 9 lives or... Actually, we can't target with Sarah's Emissary because we have to target a player. It's not both players. So we can't get around Sarah's Emissary. We lose to Sarah's Emissary. But we can get around 9 lives lock, which is important. Against Sarah's, we just kind of lose when they name creatures. But we take that. Historic Best of 1 is a fairly linear format, so we're going to try to kill them before they can reanimate on us. Try to get them that way. So notably, you still have your core like Skirk Prospector, Snoop, to kind of get you ahead, but we're not playing any of the 3 mana hasters, so the cost reducer or the Lord. Nothing to search up Muxus, so a little bit kind of all in, lower to the ground, aggro. Probably a little bit more susceptible to sweepers, but we're going to give it a shot, see how this plays out. We do have some copies of Den of the Bugbear and a Tower for acceleration as well. So we can give this a go. What we might want to do after a couple games is just try to play a couple copies of Leyline main and then like Black Leyline. We'll see how it goes. If we run into like a lot of Reanimator or something, it's pretty free in our deck. We could just get rid of the Siege Gang. I'm kind of liking that idea because if we think what we lose against, it's fast graveyard combo decks or like Gearhulk Opus. I think I'm kind of down for that. Just play Leyline main, a couple copies, see how it works out. We can always go back and switch, but I want to try this out first, see how this plays out. So let's try out some Historic Best of 1. We did have the ban announcement today. So Standard had Allrens, Faceless, and Divide by Zero banned. There's a bunch of nerfs to cards and some buffs as well in the Alchemy. Notable things are like the dungeon cards, a bunch of them got improved. So we go first. I think we keep this hand. We have a couple playables and we have Muxus if we flood out into. But like Inquisitor Captain is now a cast trigger instead of an ETB. Whelp got kind of nerfed as well. Need some lands? Are we going to be punished for our 24 lands? 100%. Kind of annoying. Looks like blue-white control. Ooh. Angels. I think we're just gonna pack this one up. Can't do much if we're not drawing lands. I held off on this. There was no point of playing it last turn. But we're going to have a hard time beating double Valkyrie in the air when we're missing lands. We need a chainwhirler here. And instead we draw a third Muxus. So, when you draw more Muxus than you do lands after keeping 2 lands, can't do much with that. So, variance bet us that game. This is going to happen sometimes, like, none of our decisions really mattered there. We needed at least a third land. I think the hand was reasonable. We had 2/2 drops with 2 lands on the play. We had a removal spell and then a 3-drop that we could have played into. We also had flood insurance in terms of Muxus, but can't do much when you don't draw lands. I think we keep this. Sand looks pretty solid. Having just like another dual land in this is really nice. So it's Soul Scar. I think we're just going to play this out. Burn is usually a little bit of a tricky matchup. I'm going to have to kind of sequence my plays. I'd assume they're just going to have burn for all my creatures. And the fact that... Okay, so it's actually not bad. Because I can do this now. Just take that out. If we hit a land next turn, I can Muxus. Interesting take on burn. So we have a couple options here. I think just going Muxus makes the most sense. Gives us the biggest board while we don't get haste. Or, you know, we can hit 1 card. Solid, solid, solid. So, give me a sec. New house has the shower right by. Can deal a nice chunk of damage, but we're running kind of low on life totals. See Bomat. So I can do this with the pump, depending on what we see on top. Wouldn't mind like Palisic Mirror, because I can start pinging these down. Probably want to get this Kessig Flame Breather off the battlefield. So we're at 7. It's a bit risky just to attack. I think what we're going to do... Probably should have played this out, to be honest. Try to chunk in some damage here. With Deathwhirler on top, I can bring back both munitions and another Skirt Prospector. I think we're... just gonna do this. Probably should have played this out. So we're at 3. might be able to kill them. So let's take a look. So if I do this and then pump, so that's 3, 5, 8, 9, 10. So Death Touch, Menace. So I can play out one of these, it doesn't do much. Just gotta dodge a burn spell for a turn. Needed the Muxus to not whiff so terribly. Okay, line's a good start. Okay, well, thought they were slow rolling us, but we're able to steal that one. So far, like, what we want to consider the quality of these Muxus flips. I think we're going to put the Palisix in. I think we're getting too cute. We need to be playing, like, disregard interaction. Goblin. So Sling Gang. Let's play these. I don't think we can get too cute. While the ley lines are good, if we can have them in our opener, we're not playing 4 of to make them a density. We're probably better off just than playing Soul Guide Lantern, or even probably Soul Guide. We can play the Cemetery or like the black 3-mana werewolf. It's an option as well. That first game was unfortunate. If we hit lands, I think we were in an okay spot. Okay, I think we're keeping this. It's a bit awkward, actually. Okay, so... because, like, I don't want to put this on block. Proctor's annoying. Because Proctor is shutting off ETB. Probably just going to play out Chainwhirler here. So I'm going to attack depending what they do. May or may not see them block. They do have Archmage Charm up. Problem is, like, even this effect I have to pay 2. Okay, so we have Den. Okay, so we have the Fateful Absence come down. While I want to play this out, because that lets me guarantee, I do want to set this up. This, honestly, this game's probably not doing too much, so let's just go Chainwhirler. I can play Prospector, sack it. Okay, so we also have the Deathwhirler. So if I can get ahead on mana, it's not bad. So I play this. So they're missing lands as well. So I actually think we're just going to do this. And then I can sack this. If they have Archmage Charm, they're probably going to... Sure. I'd rather the clue at this point. The mana doesn't do much. Okay, let me see the Teferi come down.
Innistrad has been through enough. It needs our help.
What we can do here with the sack on this, I could generate enough mana to then also pay for the ETB cost. This version of Goblins is a lot more impacted by ETB style effects.
And some think time only flows in one direction.
Interesting. So they could have attacked first. Kind of want to save this. So I can do this. I can play out the lieutenant. I don't get the card draw from it. So if I play this, that's 1 mana, 3 mana, bring him back, kill it. I think we do this. Put Death Touch, put Menace. I think we just pass the turn. Let's see what they do. Because this kind of forces them into a sweeper, and now I could just put a point of damage here. Actually, probably should have done that face. I do have the option now to just activate the den. We're not playing like super tight or mana. Okay, great. We got a black land.
Give me a moment.
So I think here we'll attack here.
We will meet again.
And then just play out the den here. So they've been kind of stumbling on lands. We haven't been doing great, but I still think overall we're in pretty decent shape. Kinda just want to ride card advantage here. See if they want to counter this. Because here, even if they have a sweeper, if they have like the 3rd Fateful, it's kind of annoying, but I don't want to expose these when they have open mana. And now at least I can just get some drains going. And we played a bit off the top. I wanted to just kind of get virtual card advantage. I'm never going to target myself. Just let me... So even though they swept here, they took like 7. This is target creature or planeswalker. Good to know. I think we hold on to this. They have settle. Got a settle, gamer. Really not the end of the world. We're presenting a good clock here. They basically 1-for-1 with a land that drew us. Den is a goblin. So, do that. Lethal them. So they kind of stumbled on lands, but we also got through 2 direct removal spells and 4 board wipes, which is pretty impressive. Den really kind of pulling its weight there. Like, yeah, they didn't hit the 5th land, but if you're a control deck and you can say, yeah, I have 4 sweepers, 2 direct removal, a Teferi, and a Proctor. That Proctor did some work early, though. Something to keep in mind. Like, again, we're looking at this version of the deck. How susceptible are we to something like Proctor compared to the other version where you get the haste, because Sand's not going to work. That looks pretty good. I think in the dark, I'm going to put Sling Gang back. I do like this curve right now. Playing just basic mountain because it could signal that we are maybe on mono red as opposed to goblins. This is very good as well if they're on like the life gain deck because I can pick off an early Soul Warden. Okay. The race is on. I think this turn we're going to keep this as is. Because I have access to Chainwhirler for next turn, it can stack some damage to potentially sweep them. Especially if they do like Burning Tree drop. So this is the mono red aggro deck. Okay, we have Stomp. So I think here I'm good to trade. Take our 2-for-1. We are a bit out of resources. We were hoping that this would have stuck a bit more. Nice thing is this can attack well into that, this being a 2-2. Can also start looking to chain our goblins. We want to dodge if we can Stomp for a turn. I would like to use this to sack to get some fodder. Most of these lists are off Embercleave, so it's not something we actively need to play around. Okay. Think we just go face here. We're going to take the combat here. That's annoying. Perfect sequence. Now we're pretty far behind. Okay. Let's see if they want to trade here. We're hoping to dodge like exactly Firebrand. So Firebrand actually doesn't do much here. That's actually a great draw. It lets me pump up my chainwhirler with first strike. This is why I don't like Torbrand in these lists. You're playing a 4-mana card that doesn't immediately impact the board, even with a board state. If this was something like Chandra, or even like Static Discharge that I like, you could have answered it and gotten in. What's the best draw in our deck? Okay, so Vortex puts a bit of a clock on us. See Roberto coming down. Guess Call of Deathwhirlers is the best draw. Take 3 here. Snoop's not bad. I think so. No attacks. The question is, do I want to play this? If I play that, it doesn't allow me to profitably block. And then I have to trade both my things. This gets me 1 deeper, but I don't think we can wait. Get Munitions Expert's great for next turn. So hopefully they get a little greedy with this attack. I can Munitions. Let's see, Ringleader. That makes it a little tricky. So we block here. Double block there. Block there. Nope. That on upkeep. Don't think it makes... Actually, if we held it back, we would have been short some blockers. I could have killed it in first strike, but then I still lose my stuff. I think it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't moment. Overall, so far, I'm feeling like this version is just much worse. Like, Chainwhirler is not the best card, to be honest. Like, we're playing like a worse Goblin Shell, I feel. Like, a big draw is trying to chaining into Muxus. And I feel without the haste to really threaten. Like this just being more creatures. Give this a shot. I think given the Muxus, I'd be more inclined to lead with this. Next turn we go Skirk and Fanatical. Could see Fateful Absence here, but do have Snoop, which I don't mind. Because the thing is, they're likely going to hold up a counter on 3. And Snoop lets me get some virtual card advantage. Like, this is something they'll probably want to answer. Why doesn't it? Oh, it doesn't have haste. Sure. Technically gets Fanatical's ability, but sorta, kinda, not really. Interesting line here is deciding what we want to do this next turn. Do we play into a board wipe, or do we just throw out a chainwhirler? I think we throw out the chainwhirler, because post sweeper then I can play 3 1-drops, which I don't mind, because then that sets me up for a following turn Muxus. A big thing too is like your Muxus can't attack the turn it comes down in this deck. So while more combo oriented, you're weaker to that kind of nuance. Okay, so no normal Archmage Charm. They could have Shark Typhoon, but that's fine. This post lets me play out 3 of these. And then if they do sweep, I can sack both of these for mana to sack the clue. So it's decent overall. I don't need to commit more resources at this moment. I think all I'll do is play out Fanatical. This is what happens when you give someone the full control button. I think I'm going to draw here because I want to hit a land. Oh my god, go! It's actually kind of... We're at 25 lands. We're having a hard time actually hitting things. Okay, so this makes it a little bit easier to cast. We're likely to see a sweeper this turn. We don't. If I play you, you don't get haste, but you're a nice follow-up to something like a Teferi. I honestly don't even hate if we get settled right now, just because it sets me up for Muxus. That's super encouraging. I could jam this, but it feels wrong. Like they're kind of priced into answering my board. Good start.
Focused and disciplined. Encounter no odds with thoughtfulness before action.
Do they have a stifle? They don't. I think given this, again, because with this build we don't have a way to give Muxus haste.
Needs a rest.
I'm cool doing this. I took an Narset off the field just because it can... We didn't have a way to deal 2 damage. Leaving it at 2. We don't care about the card draw. I think they're just dead. Because this deals... We can sack... Okay, so let's see. So... Sack this, get a mana, deal a damage. Sack, deal a damage. Sack, deal a damage. I think we can get there. I don't know. We'll leave it for their turn. They have Stifle in their deck. But let's make them start by trying to answer our board. We'll do math later. There's a way I could generate enough mana to then sack a goblin to make more goblins, so if they sweep. They don't have Settle mana up. They could have like Teferi's Protection. Okay, so now... Sack to make 2. One. Two. Three. Sack you to make 2. Then we should get him that way. This also is a lot more click intensive. Alright, combo goblins. Gabba gabba goo. So we had some close ones. The first game was like a non-bow. She never hit lions. Gotcha! There was some math. The time they get you with math is for attackers. So we'll take a look overall. I think we went 3-2, if I'm not mistaken. Let's refresh Untapped. 3-2. Lost a mono red, bet a mono red, and then lost to Angels. Seems to be good against these control decks though, but Goblins usually has a pretty good matchup. This version being a little bit more resilient. I think overall, I still personally prefer the all-in Goblins. I feel like this deck's not really taking advantage of Muxus that well. The hits just aren't as impactful. Like you get, like we hit that kind of combo turn, but I think overall I'd rather be on the Muxus version. Anyways, let me know what you think. Once standard bans go in, we'll revisit standard a bit. But we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one, and stay safe out there.